introduced Avelo sir. So he has been part of more than 500 speaking engagements in the US and India, including the White House panel for entrepreneurship education, Startup America, Invest India at Rashtrapati Bhavan, TEDx Talks, Josh Talks, and more. He has received more than 150 awards in India, the US, Canada, China. He has more than 1,800 startups mentees in India, US, Canada, China. Sir is a serial tech entrepreneur, investor, and TV host who started his first startup at the age of 19 around his parents' spending technology. While still studying as a computer engineer at the Illinois Institute of Technology, he built it to a multi-million-dollar valuation by the age of 22. He has built 8 businesses in the US and India with multi-million dollar worth of product and services ranging from consumer electronics, artificial intelligence system, healthcare, process automation, food science, wireless communications, wearable technology, and graphical password application. I think this is a very short introduction about Avelo, sir. So, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Prashasti.
Yes, sir.
Nice to meet you. And nice to meet you, all of you. I just want to quickly check in the chat section if you can just write at the stage of your business, pre-revenue, post-revenue, idea stage, growth stage, scale up, whatever. Maybe one word or two words to describe the stage of your business so I understand and can cater to your needs accordingly. Growth stage, pre-revenue, okay. Pre-revenue. Monthly revenue. And just so you know, this is going to be an interactive session. It's not going to be just a radio show where I talk and you listen. I'm going to give you some tasks and things and so that we can learn, because otherwise what will happen is you'll forget. All right. So if we do some exercises, we'll remember things. Growth. Okay, cool. All right. Sounds good. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I'm not allowed to share screen.
So I have given you the rights.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
So as Prashasti was saying, I've been an entrepreneur all my life since my age of 19 when I was studying at the Illinois Institute of Technology and working on my patent pending technology and commercialized that. I've been mentored by some of the best in the industry. Over at the bottom, you can see the former, at that time, the CEO of Motorola and Nokia before, the smartphone revolution happened. So they were the leaders in the industry, and learning from people like them, people who invented the garage door opener, the barcode, and some of the best in the world, entrepreneurs. So from 19, I started. By 22, we built our first $1 million company, and it's been a great journey. So, won business plan competitions in US and Canada, built an amazing team. And that's a very key aspect of successful businesses. You can have an average idea with a great team and you will succeed. But a great idea with an average team and you're bound to fail. So I was fortunate to have, the former CTO of Motorola, the head of marketing for L'Oreal, head of innovations for Wrigley, quit their jobs and joined two teenagers to build a business. And with one success, we went on to build many other businesses. Like she said, 8 companies, 3 exits. Can everybody mute their mics, please? Thank you. And we have built everything from consumer electronics to workflow automation, healthcare, you name it, we have done it. I'm honored by the California State Senate for TED Talks. Kolkata Ventures in the last 5 years has grown into, generating almost 450 revenue generating startups. We are in 5 countries. People say nothing happens in Calcutta, so I took it as a challenge. And now, Kolkata Ventures is incubating startups in Canada, US, Australia, and other places. So it's really a proud thing that I'm leaving back as my legacy if I die tomorrow. There are some of our successful startups that are generating significant revenue. These are already funded. Others are, some don't need funding. Some are in the process of funding. Rashtrapati Bhavan, when I met Mr. Singh for the first time, actually, this is where I met him. And this is a Startup India Award, mentoring startups. I was sent by the Prime Minister's office to the Prime Minister of Nepal to create the startup ecosystem along with other CEOs like Ritesh from Oyo, Entrepreneur Magazine, Sugar Cosmetics, and other CEOs. I guest lecture at IITs, IIMs, and 2 US universities. Do a lot of student interactions, a lot of outreach. Just skipping through all this. I work with the government in policy making for our startups. And what I'm going to share with you today is not book knowledge. It's something that I have tried and it worked for me. So whatever little bit of success that I have had from that experience, I'm going to share with you whatever I'm sharing. So please pay attention. It's not book knowledge. It's not gyan. It's not a motivational speech. I am an entrepreneur and investor, and that's where the perspective is coming from. Security concern. Yes. All right. So this was something that I was gifted. So when President Obama came into power in 2008, one of the first things he did was start up America because economy was down, employment was going down, and he wanted to create job creators. So people like me were going from colleges to high schools to inspire entrepreneurs. And one high school actually gave me this plaque that says, "Can't spell entrepreneur, be one and hire someone who can." And as engineers, we'll sometimes get this wrong idea that I have to do everything. If I don't do it, who will? And that's not the case. You just have to know what people want, the vision, the problem you're solving, and get people smarter than you to come on board and build the company with you. So this really is a all-encompassing definition of entrepreneurship, where you hire someone who can if you don't know something. The startup, according to lean startup methodology, the definition of a startup is a temporary organization designed to search for a repeatable and scalable business model. So when you're searching, you're evolving, you're changing, you're growing. So it's important to understand this principle that you're not just a big organization turned small. You don't need CTO, CMO, CFO, and all of that. That's not the structure you work with. You are a startup and you are constantly evolving and changing. Your business model is changing. Your go-to-market is changing. Your market is changing. Your idea is changing. Everything is evolving constantly till you find something that sticks, that's repeatable. That means you can repeat it in Greater Noida, you can repeat it in Calcutta, you can repeat it in Chennai, you can repeat it in different places, and you can scale it. You can be sitting in one place and scaling it in all over India or all over the world. Till you get that formula, you keep searching, right? And first and foremost, your startup starts with you as a founder. So one of the things you need to do is self-assessment. Before we jump into lean startup and all of that, it is important to do self-assessment as a promoter, as an entrepreneur. Then some of you I noticed are above 50. Some of you are in your 30s. At a different stage of your life, you'll have different skills that are very special to you, and you're better at them than others, right? So figure out what those are, because this is what's going to happen. Your passion, things that you're passionate about, is what you can choose as your market, because then you understand the pain of the market. Since you are the market, you feel the pain and pleasure of that market. So let your passion be connected to the market, whether it's car, whether it's farming, whether it's fashion, whether it's photography, whatever it might be. And you find a market segment that is small and niche and narrow. And based on that narrow market segment, you figure out a problem you want to solve. A problem, not an idea, but a problem you want to solve. And how do you solve it? With your skills. You won't have all the skills. So you need a team where you have certain skills and they have certain skills, and together you can build a product or service. And that product and service fulfills the need of the market. And you combine that, you have the business model, right? A business model is basically something that it's all parts of the business. Money goes in, time goes in, effort goes in, right? Value creation happens, revenue comes out. Revenue more than cost, you're profitable. Revenue less than cost, and you're making losses, which is natural in the initial phases. In the days, it used to be make people want things. Tatas and the Ambanis in the days of TV ads, it used to be make people want things. They would come up with ideas and black ambassadors and this and that, and they would do ads on TV, and you would go running to buy it. Today, things are different. It's about making things people want, and that's the basis of lean startup methodology. That you're here to first figure out what people want and then build that for those people. That means you start with market research. You start with the problem. What is a problem that sticks? What is a problem that people are willing to pay for? For example, privacy is a problem. People are not willing to pay for it. You saw when Elon Musk tweeted that, oh, you know what, we should all go to what's that, Signal. People downloaded Signal, Signal crashed and everything. People went back to WhatsApp because they're not willing to pay the price for privacy. It's not a strong enough problem. People don't realize the problem. You need to figure out a problem that is a need, not a want. And accordingly, you will be able to monetize it. It should be urgent. For example, according to the Vedic system, a problem is defined as something that no one wants, but everybody has to face it and no one can avoid it. And the Vedas say that is old age, disease, and death. And you see how much money is made for, age-defying creams and pharmaceutical industry and health tech, right? It's a huge industry. So you have to figure out a problem that is that dire. Identify your target market. Who's facing this problem? Go on Google Trends, go on Nielsen, do secondary market research and find out what are these market research trends telling you? Where are the problems geographically, age-wise, gender-wise? Who are facing this problem and can afford to pay for it? And then you do your primary market research, which is directly asking those customers and talking to them and doing surveys, not online surveys, but physically. Online surveys don't work, right? So your secondary market research is broad data. Primary market research is directly interacting with the customers and trying to figure out, okay, what is it that people are facing, the problem? And then once you figure out the dire problem, build a minimum viable product to fix it. And that means very short, in one sentence, it basically means your startup cannot do everything. It needs to do only one thing, and one thing really, really well. Here is where, I know many of you are probably engineers, and that's where I'm an engineer too, by degree. And that's where we all go wrong. We feel the need for many features. We feel the need for, my product should do this and this and this and this, and it's a abundance of features. And people get confused. What do you really do? I'm not sure from your website or app. So I'm going to just get out. So you see on your website, the bounce rate would be 70, 80%. On your app, your retention rate would be less than 30% because people are installing and they're uninstalling because they're not clear exactly what you do. So initially, when they don't know you, when you're not Amazon or a Flipkart, people need to have clarity of what's the value they're going to get from your app. Are you a dating app? Are you a farming app? Are you a whatever app, right? Or your whatever website. So you need to focus on one thing, and that needs to be clear. We do blah for you, right? Not like we are awarded for this and that and this and that. We do this for you. So people know as customer, what is in it for me, right? WIIFM, what is in it for me? Everybody's looking for that. They Google, they come to you. They see Facebook ad, they come to you. They land on it and they want to know what is in it for them, how you're benefiting them. You need to be very clear about that in your statements, in your graphics, in your landing page, everything, right? So this statement applies everywhere. A startup needs to do everything. Doesn't need to do everything. It needs to do one thing, and one thing really, really well. If you do try one thing, you can do that well because you don't have resources. You're not, as far as I know, none of you are 100 crores funding, right? So you cannot do a lot of things. You can do one thing really, really well. So focus on that. And based on that reputation, others will trust you. Now, my first exercise for you is write down your problem statement in 10 words or less, right? Like oxygen crisis in Delhi, That's a problem. Don't give me solutions. Don't give me like my company makes the best oxygen, or whatever, concentrators. No, that's not the solution I want. I want just your problem. Tell me in one line, less than 10 words, what is the problem you are solving? The chat section, please. I'll just give you an example in case people are having issues. So this is an example from Airbnb pitch deck. It's 30 words, where they're saying the 3 different problems, right? But in your case, I just want to hear one problem and the strongest problem that you have, right? In the chat section, please. Start typing. Physical presence in elections. Okay, you're going to make virtual rallies. Huh. See, I can conclude to a certain degree based on the problem, right? This is the first slide of your pitch deck when you're going to an investor. What problem are you solving? Sales and marketing, that's too short, Keshav. I want to know more. That's not a problem. That's just a segment industry. Lack of a gaming.
You're talking about the problem we are solving or the problem we are facing? I'm just getting confused.
Your business is solving a problem.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're building a solution to market problem. Saksham Singh, lack of a gaming only platform. Really? Okay. Roots goods. Farmers are losing 10% money in the market from unplanned sales pipelining. Okay. Sai Kamlesh, global DALIs are having high for respiratory diseases and the disease progressions goes unnoticed. Okay. Segmented search engine for Gen Z. Creating user-friendly prototype. Lack of electricity in remote islands and villages. Finding the authentic geographical indication food product directly sourced from farmers. Very cool. You guys are excellent. Thank you for understanding the problem statement. Air pollution kills 7 million people every year. Really? I didn't know that. Wow. That's a very good one. See, data, facts and figures, they really get the wow factor out of the investor. Empowering, again, empowering is you're telling me the solution. Tell me the problem. Empowering unorganized car rental, no. Lack of end-to-end sustainable solutions. Tuba Siddiqui, I don't know what you're talking about. The lack of is a easy part. The end-to-end sustainable solutions for what? Be a little more specific than that. Okay, cool. I think we get it. You guys get it, what a problem statement is. Good. Now we'll talk about a solution, or you can also call it an elevator pitch, right? It's a one-liner. You're in a social, you meet an investor. Mr. Singh connects you to somebody. Hey, this is an investor. You should tell him about your business. And the investor will be like, so what do you do? And this is what you say. So this is a very crucial one sentence answer. And I would like you to fill this out. The name of your company, helps dash to dash by dash, right? So does whatever it does. It designs, develops, manufactures, etc. To, XYZ LLC does to help you, to help the customers do what? And by what price? Like in the example I've given, Kolkata Ventures helps entrepreneurs, right, to build and grow tax. So sorry, the XYZ LLP helps dash, that is the market, to solve something, the problem they're facing, by what process, right? So in one line, it's not more than 30 words. Try to do this exercise. That your company helps, who's the segment, to do what, by what process. Stick to the formula, please. This is scientific. This is not something I came up with. It is actually scientifically proven to give a convincing, clear solution. This is probably your solution. See, we already made like 3 slides on your pitch deck. Pretty cool, huh? Mr. BP Bhattacharya is saying, is it like our goal? I'm not sure what you mean by what is like your goal? The first exercise was problem statement, problem your company is solving with your solution. And the second statement is your, quick one-line introduction of your company. This goes in your, even in your executive summary when you send it to investor. Swapna, problem statement, fast pace of technology change compared to slow pace of educational content results into lack of skills required for job readiness or innovation. Okay, very nice. Sai Kamlesh. Okay, so these are all problems. Okay, Purple Albedo's platform helps the new age travelers by offering a segmented search engine specifically catering to their traveling habits. PhonoLife helps clinicians contribute to reducing DALYs of respiratory diseases patients by remotely monitoring vitals and hemodynamic parameters. Okay. Roots Goods helps maize buyers to buy the maize for 5% lesser than the market price by our novel AI-based procurement plans. Cool. Cool. KBCD helps car rental operators to managing bookings, billings, account systems offer by our software. Earthkind Eco Venture Private Limited helps eco-friendly people live in a sustainable lifestyle by providing zero waste products. Very cool. All right, sounds good. You guys get it. Thank you so much for participating. Introduction to a pitch deck, not required for you right now. Sorry, I'm using some other slides I used for another presentation. So lean startup methodology. So the first thing about lean startup methodology is not building everything for everyone, but building something for someone with a minimum viable product. And it's, like I said, start with market research. We talked about primary market research and secondary market research, right? So with that, you come up with the understanding who is your market, who can pay, what is the problem they need solving, not what you think they need solving, but they are validating they need solving, right? And then translating that market research to product and service offering. So for examples are Henry Ford. When he did market research, people said we need, instead of 2-horse buggy, we need a 6-horse buggy. And Henry Ford understood what people want is power and speed. And rather than horses, he went for car or automotives. And he was able to get the prices down to the level of horse buggies. And thereby, we have traffic jams today, and we can blame Henry Ford for it. But the point is that he could translate that market problem into product and service offering. And that is your skill as an entrepreneur, how you hear the market and what solution you come up with. That creativity I cannot teach you. That's something that makes you or breaks you. Prioritize the minimum viable features. Don't build everything and waste your resources and money. Build something very specific, solve one problem, do that really well. Create a prototype, sketch, PPT, CAD drawing, 3D printer, video, whatever you can, right? Because these things help you also understand what you're building, and your co-founders understand what you're building, your potential partners, potential investors understand what you're building. So always build a prototype for a digital product or a physical product. It's important to have prototypes so people can visualize what the end product would look like. Get feedback, understand what you're lacking constantly. People love to give opinion, and you should listen, but you should also filter. Not everybody understands what you're trying to do. Not everybody has the right intention. They criticize you just to discourage you. But there are people who will give you very, very good feedback, and that might not be to your liking, but don't let your ego stop you from learning. there's always an opportunity where you can get better. So through the process of building your MVP and testing it with the customers and getting feedback and all of that, you figure out who is your customer. Maybe initially you thought it's millennials, turns out it's the senior citizens, right? What product do they actually want? What is it that these companies and these customers are looking for, right? Maybe you thought, like, one of the companies I was dealing with, we bought it from the founders. It was acquisition, and it was supposed to be event discovery platform. Turns out it became a dating platform. People actually prefer to talk to each other, going to the same event together and whatnot. And in the US, we were getting listed by top magazines as the top-notch dating app, a friend finding app. And I was like, what is going on? And we realized, okay, fine, that's what people want. We'll switch to that. It doesn't have to be our way. People have figured out a way to use our product in their way. Fine, that's great. How to build a scalable business around it, right? That's the important part. That's the part entrepreneurs fail, is because they can start something, but scaling it is a whole different ball game. It requires different people, different skill sets, and that's another session, right? Startup to scale up is something I have done this, I think, with BIMTECH before, but that's a whole different session. So once you start it up, now how do you scale it up? That's where a lot of businesses fail. Anyway, so in minimum viable product, you need to have minimum viable features. And that's where, again, most of you who are engineers will struggle, because, oh my God, I want that feature, but I want that feature. Oh, I want this feature, but you're like, what is the minimum viable feature? Minimum, that means some absolute highlight, and without it you cannot do. It's viable, right? So how do you decide that? And this is how you decide it, right? There is the desirability of the people. What do people want? The viability of the business. You only have X amount of money, you have X amount of people. So viability, what can you do, with the business aspect? Will people buy it? Like, it's not just possible, like, this is what people desire, but will people buy it? And technical feasibility, again, with your team, with your technical ability, what is it that you can develop? That doesn't require Einstein to build it. That's something you can do very quickly, very simply, for a small market. And eventually you can evolve it. One of my friends, he just recently raised, I think, around $25 million in Bangalore for an AI startup. And the funny thing is, I'm not naming him purposely, because he didn't have an AI startup to begin with. He was telling everybody that I have an AI startup. He had AI startup, which is intern intelligence. The interns were actually, behind the scenes, but doing all the data manipulation and everything, because in our country, interns are cheap. 2,000 rupees you give and you get intern for a month, right? So he was having a team of interns doing data manipulation, and it looked like AI. And after raising $25 million, now he's building the AI, because he couldn't attract the right team who could build the AI, right? AI guys are expensive. They're sitting in Amazon and LinkedIn and Google, and they're getting paid 2.5 lakhs a month, and you don't want to afford them as a startup. So jugaad, but he was able to do that. And now he has a robust AI system. So you need to understand what is the people that want, the business viability and the technical feasibility. And based on that, you create your MVP. That's where your innovation happens. And this is the process, right? You empathize, you define, empathize with the problem of the market. You define, this is what I want to build in my MVP. You ideate, you prototype, you test, see if it's working or not, if it is sellable or not, right? And you go back to your market research and see how can you make the MVP sellable, right? And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be 50% accurate, and you can just say, hey, we are in the process of building it. You're one of the first people to buy it. Give us your feedback. You're part of the team, and engage your customers to become part of your team, part of the beta process, right? If your MVP is a website, make sure you don't look like shit. Make sure you have a proper headline that tells people this is how we serve you, right? This is the call to action. Before they scroll up, they should be able to see how they're benefited. Click on a call to action, you capture that information, so that even if they don't buy from you, you can sell to them through email marketing and other means, right? For example, this one, Very clear, world-class design at your service. Okay, I get it. With the picture, they're explaining the text, and then they describe in small text, and now they want me to take an action, call to action. This is for websites. Now, product services, and I'm not getting too much in the details. Let me see how much time I have. Too much in the details, but a product requires some level of funding initially. You build, you test, you learn, you go for a Series A, you launch it, you market, distribute, and sell. So distribution is key for physical products. You need to have distributors who can get you to retailers. Service business, much easier, get started. Your B2B customers are on LinkedIn, B2C on Facebook and Instagram. Test one variable at a time. Make sure you have your management accounting in place, compliance for both product and service business. You need compliance. Sales push beyond social media. Eventually, you will need to have telecallers, calling them, pushing them, converting leads. You will fail initially, but eventually, as you build, measure, learn, this is a very crux of lean startup methodology. As you build, measure, learn, you will eventually grow, learn from your mistakes, and build a product that people want, customers are willing to pay for, right? It's an iterative process. It's not a one-time process. You're constantly going back to the drawing board, making it better. Just like cell phone, every cell phone tries to make a better version with the new version, learning from your past versions, what people are using, what people are not using, and they try to make it better the next time. And thereby, when your customers are happy, they're going to brag about your product. They're going to tell others about it, and they're going to bring them to the platform, right? And thereby, your cost of customer acquisition will go down as people start referring others. But you need to understand your customers. Only then you can make them proud of your product and make them brag about your product. Unique bragging proposition. And like I said, expect failures, expect things to not work. This is just part of business. Many people are not successful because they fail enough number of times. They let fear hold them back. So that's why you're in Atal Incubation Center, thankfully under the guidance of wonderful mentors and everybody who will help you understand what to do, fail less and succeed more, but you'll fail nevertheless, and you can learn from them and get better. I'm not going to get into the business model. Let me see if you have any questions so far. In the chat section, you can type in your questions.
So Swapna raised hand.
Go ahead.
You're on mute, Swapna. Just unmute yourself, please.
Okay, should I ask directly or should I?
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you just mentioned about startup to scale up. So like if time permits, I would like to know more about that, or I would like to take it offline with you after the session.
I'll give you a brief into scaling up. So basically, the people who help you scale up are professionals who are industry players. People who help you start up are more entrepreneurially minded risk takers, right? So the team changes. You get experts to come on board who have been part of a process, who can take you through the scale up phase. It's a different set of people. The second thing that changes is scalability, right? There is the growth curve. You are still making potentially losses, but you see the network effect is growing up. There's exponential growth in referrals, in the number of people who are coming on board, your retention rate and all of that. So there are indications when you're ready to scale up. And also funding comes in at the time of scale up. So before you scale up, you set certain systems in place, right? So that, because when you scale up without systems in place, without methods in place, you will break, you will fall apart, because there's going to be massive chaos, when you're scaling up. And that's when everybody will be blaming each other, blaming the founders, and there's a chaos, right? So you want to make sure that there's KPIs, there are workflow automations, there are basic things that are taken care of before the storm happens. And as you bring in new people, you'll also, the old people who you started with, will start feeling bad. that you're giving them more money, giving them more attention, right? So there's a lot of changes that happen from startup to scale up. There's a 2-hour, a session that I do on startup scale ups. I'm not getting the details, but the point is it's very different, and it requires different skill sets and different kinds of people. And unless you understand that and you try to do the same way you did startup, you will break and you will fail, right? So recruitment is one aspect, investment is another aspect, setting systems and processes is another aspect, among other things, of course. Does it answer your question, Swapna?
Yes, briefly, but I would be really happy if AIC BIMTECH can arrange something like that for us. Like,
Yeah, sure.
a detailed session.
We'll do
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay. Any other questions?
Hi, Avelo. This is Rahul. So, thank you for this wonderful session. So, I got a privilege to meet you. Yes, I got a privilege to meet you a couple of times. I met you in Hemsudha also, Baliganj place.
Okay.
Last year. So I was talking about that time Vedic ghee and food products which can be traceable. So with all those market research, I finally launched my product.
Okay.
It's an Amal farm, which is a geographically indicated tag product. And it has a QR code pasted on the product, and consumers scans it. They come to know that from which farmer actually that product has come.
Okay.
And the problem which we are solving today is that first, the farmers are unaware about the importance of GI tag product. Because, for example, if we talk about Kala Namak rice, which is Buddha rice, it has a history of 500 BC. But farmers are not aware. At the same time, consumers are also not aware. So my question to you is that
so why are you doing it?
So you were mentioning that you have to write the problem, right? First problem statement. So I have two problems, right? One at the farmer end and one at the consumer end. So should I mention both the problems, or I mention only one problem which has a larger impact?
See, if I don't know that there is a problem and you tell me there's a problem, it won't have an impact on me. It'll be like, why are you telling me something that I have no idea about? So you need to work with what is the problem. So for example, the problem is that ghee has, let's say, can be adulterated. And that can lead to adulterated ghee can lead to cancer or whatever else, right? So that's a problem. I understand that. Okay, are you telling me that you're going to give me ghee that is absolutely stamped, organic, whatever? That I understand. So you're giving me a hallmark or a QR code that proves that this ghee has no adulteration. That I understand. So speak my language, right? You're telling me the same thing. It's just in my language. I understand that milk, ghee, other things, anything, even medicines, right? Yeah, there are certain medicines that have this tag in it, proving that this is original. This is not fake, because so many medicines are fake. So yeah, so speak the language that people understand. Otherwise, neither farmers understand, nor the customers understand, and what are you doing here?
Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Okay, anything else? If there are no questions, then I'll go back to covering a few more things.
Is there any more question with anybody?
It's okay. You guys can think about your questions or type it in the chat section while I finish it off. So also understand that as you're building a minimum viable product, you don't have access to crazy resources. And that's why you have to be very, very creative and jugaru, right? And money has many names. So whether it's cash, a credit card, or favors, right? It has many names. So you need to figure out what works where and how you can get things done. If you watch my first TED Talk, it's called The Currency of Relationship. As a teenager, how I use relationships to build my company, get people who are very expensive to do work for free or equity or future promise. And based on that, we were able to build are $1 million valuation, and then raise money and pay those people and make sure that all those promises are taken care of. Also understand there are resources like Atal Incubation Center that is giving you, and they will also have access to all these HubSpot, Microsoft BizSpark, Paytm, AWS. All of these guys are giving literally thousands of dollars worth of credit, right? And that is very powerful. That means it's literally like 20, 30 lakhs free money that is available to you that you would otherwise would have to pay for. For example, everybody needs hosting, and AWS is willing to give you anywhere between $5,000 to $35,000 worth of free hosting for the first 3 years. That's huge, right? That's money right there. So understand that money has many names, and as you're building your business, you should be able to build it up based on that. Do it out, no excuses, right? Many things, because you are an entrepreneur and you don't have a boss, it will look like you're doing a lot of things sideways, right? You're going in circles, and that's not healthy. You need to have a mentor who you're accountable to, who you are, every couple, like when people get incubated by Kolkata Ventures, they're accountable to a mentor every 2 weeks. They have to meet on Zoom, and milestones are set, and you need to be, there. This is what I achieved, or this is what I didn't achieve, and this is why. And can you help me figure out how I can do it, right? Make it a habit to win. That means every day have a to-do list. Make sure you are ticking off things from that to-do list that's aligned with your midterm, short-term, and long-term goals. And make sure you have deadlines with your dream that, okay, I'll launch by this date. Otherwise, things always take longer than expected, right? Get somebody to guide you. Ask for help when you need. I'm always available on social media. You can reach out. I've been with BIMTECH for the last several years, and that's also our history. Arjuna asked Krishna. Only after that, Krishna started speaking the Bhagavad Gita. I teach Bhagavad Gita, so this is one of my favorite topics. So the whole Bhagavad Gita started from chapter 2, where Arjun finally said, Krishna, I don't know what is best for me. I'm so confused. I'm in dilemma. Please help me. And then Lord Krishna started speaking. So it's important that you don't struggle alone. You ask for help, make the right choice versus a popular choice with the help of a mentor who knows what's right for you, right? If you Google it, what you'll get is popular choice, because that's how Google is designed, right? Wikipedia is designed. They give you the popular choice, but what is right for you? What market is right for you? What problem is right for you? What team is right for you? What technology is right for you? For that, you need a mentor to guide you through it. It might not be the popular thing, but it needs to be right for you. And remember this is something after 8 businesses, my understanding of how to build. So think big, really, really big. Start small, start with the low-hanging fruit. Don't try to bring everything for everyone. Like I said at the very beginning, solve one problem really well, right? Do one thing really well with your startup. Grow slow. As you do one thing right, customers will ask you for more. So slowly expand your product line, expand your horizons. You will make mistakes as you expand. Don't repeat those mistakes. And finally, you will come to a repeatable and scalable business model. Remember initially the startup definition according to lean startup methodology, searching for a repeatable, scalable business model. So as you find a repeatable, scalable business model, then you grow really fast. And this is where investors come in, where they see the validation you've had. They see on a small level how you've grown, your month-on-month growth, your retention rates, your daily active users, your monthly active users, all of those numbers. And now you're ready to go all out, right? Scale up. Multiple states, multiple countries, then you really grow fast, right? So if you need anything from my side, we do virtual incubation, and we have, that's the number of my executive assistant. He will connect you with me for mentorship sessions or whatever. I'm also available on LinkedIn and Instagram. I'm the only one with the name Avelo Roy, so you can easily find me and ask me questions there. And I have a gift for you. There are 200 plus probably 250 plus videos on my YouTube channel, all 5 minutes, 7 minutes long. And they're very short snippets about startups, from hiring, recruiting, scaling up, valuation, fundraising, selecting the right investors, product development, everything. Everything is there. How to start with zero money, everything is there. You can watch them and if you have questions, you can comment on those videos, youtube.com/AveloRoy, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. So that's all that's there. If there is anything else, you can ask me, or else I'll take your leave.
Yes, sir. I wanted two things to share with you. One friend came to me in the morning and said, "Do you have any problem?" I said, "No." I said to him, "Do you have any problem?" "No problems." Then in few minutes, they took my bloods, and after a few hours, they come with several problems, this problem, and I had the solutions. So Mr. Rahul Prakash question was there. So problem can be, raised, and a solution can be given to the, can be sell to the person. That I want to add point there. It can be relevant or may not be. The second point is that how we find our business is scalable. What are the parameters we can find our business is scalable and repeatable? Something, the keyword you're using.
Mm-hmm. So that is something that you have to constantly search, right? As you're building your business, you have to find out, is this repeatable? Is this easily scalable? For example, if I'm in the restaurant business and I build a restaurant, is it a scalable business? No, it's a lean growth, linear growth, in the sense that one restaurant, two restaurants, three, revenue is growing, but it's proportional to the number of restaurants, and there is fixed cost also growing. Cost also growing, revenue also growing. But let's say I build 3 restaurants and I say I would not build any more restaurants. Here onwards, I will franchise it out. And you pay me for franchising. You take care of all the costs of setting it up. I will give you my recipe. I'll give you my branding. I'll give you everything else. That's scalable. Now it becomes 100 restaurants. I don't have to pay for it. I'm just making money, right? Exponential growth. So you need to figure out in your industry, in your business, how you're going to do that, make it a scalable business. And that business model design is something that I cannot give you without knowing much about your business. So you can schedule a session with me. I'll be happy to explore and help you out with that.
Thank you so much.
Most welcome. Mr. Bhattacharya is saying, can lean startup shorten product development cycle? Yes, not only shorten, but also save you money, because you can be very confidently going in the wrong direction, spending money and time and everything else, and then you see nobody wants to buy it. Whereas lean startup, what it does for you, it thins down that timeline, as well as the expenses and the resources that you put into building something that you thought would work but might not work, versus something that's small and you see just to give you an example, since we have a little bit of time, Zappos was basically a company started by this gentleman who wanted to test, will people buy shoes online? Amazon was already thriving, and he was like, will people buy shoes online? Because shoes something you try on and then you buy. So we went to a shoe store and he said, can I take pictures of your shoes? And the guy said, why? He's like, I'm building a site, and if any shoes are sold, I'll buy it at your price and you will have extra shoes sold. So let me take pictures. He said, fine, go take pictures. So this man took pictures of all these shoes, built a simple WordPress-like website, and put up all those pictures, create a simple e-commerce platform like Shopify, and he started running ads. As soon as few shoes started selling, he shut down the website, went to the shoe store, bought the shoes, shipped those shoes, and he said, great, I have proven that people are willing to buy shoes online. Then he built, this beautiful website called Zappos, and eventually they made it into a multi-billion-dollar company, and Amazon eventually bought it out, and Zappos still is an Amazon company, right? So the point is, with that simple WordPress site, taking pictures from a shoe store, he didn't have to worry about inventory, building a massive technology, massive money. Literally with zero money, he was able to sell shoes, prove that people are willing to buy shoes, and then go all out in building a beautiful system where people can buy shoes online from all over the world. That's the beauty of lean startup methodology, that it allows you to test out before you actually invest your time and resources. I hope that helps, Mr. Bhattacharya. Okay, anything else, anyone?
I think, no, sir.
Mr. Roy, I have a small question.
Go ahead.
In your opinion, what would be the best strategy for a MVP to getting traction for a medical devices, wearable devices company like us? because we ideated a lot, met a lot of customers suffering from the disease, and then the respective specialists from various hospitals got the idea vetted, got selected by a government scheme too, though money did not come for more than 8 months, that's fine. Then we met some investors. We understood that there is an MVP required so that they can actually look at funding us because they like the idea a lot. But before we build the MVP, we need some money. So we're trying to see how best we can do very quickly without losing time. But then some investors also parallelly started asking us whether there is any traction. Next 6 months' time, will you be able to sell to some customers? I think that's where there's a problem. We can't go to market at least for the next 2 to 3 years.
What is your product?
We are actually into wearable medtech, and it basically helps clinicians monitor the lungs and heart related parameters.
See,
So-
Mr. Kamlesh,
Yeah.
you
Please
must be understanding that monitoring devices, they're very easy to build, and there are even like Apple watches now monitoring your heartbeat and things like that. So you might not have all the bells and whistles, but you might be able to build something that is already off the shelf, existing things, prototype it, connect it to the patient, and have a module that connects with the internet, and I should be able to remotely monitor it. Now, do I see value in it? Now, what you're measuring is how many times are the relatives of the patient monitoring those numbers, right? Based on that, you can show the investors, look, people are checking this 5 to 6 times a day. That means there is a need for it. That means they're willing to pay for it. And I can guarantee you, Mr. Kamlesh, it should not take somebody as brilliant as yourself to build it in a month with, 20 to 25,000 rupees. Because in the pandemic, we saw how cheap these oxygen monitors and things like that were built. And they can be built in a very jugaru kind of a way. So don't go for quality. Go for just put it together, bandage it together. If you need to use tapes, go for tapes, but just showcase the need, that there is a need. As an investor who has hard-earned money, not black money, right? But hard-earned money, they will want to see, will you go through a crash testing? Will people want this, right? Only then they want to give you the money to build it out. When you can show, look, with an imperfect product, people are still checking it 5 times a day. Imagine what an end product would be. That imagination won't happen unless you show them something. Does it help?
Absolutely. Thank you a lot.
Most welcome. Okay, cool.
Yes, Sachin. I think Mr. Sachin has a question.
Sure.
Go ahead, Sachin.
Sir, this is Sachin here. Thanks for the discussion. So I have a quick question or kind of remark. So after COVID, the people who are working with us at the ground level at the farms, who did diploma in agriculture, there's a lot of arbitrations. They're leaving the company, or either they are doing and settling down in their own places. So is there any ideas or some ideas, for example, Swiggy or some delivery companies might also probably have that problems. You might have come across that. So we wanted to learn something which we can implement as a process that
It's been very long. Sorry. Ask me the question one more time in shorter sentence.
we want to introduce a process to stop employees to leave at the ground level. Have any suggestion?
What is it that you're selling?
We are collecting data and grading the commodities at the ground level.
You're not helping me at all. I need you to be more. Okay. You're saying roots and goods. So I'm guessing you're dealing with some roots or something. Food products, farms.
Mm-hmm.
So
Correct.
if you don't tell me what you do, I cannot tell you a solution.
Can we take this offline?
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because I'm not clear what you're asking me. Okay.
Sure, no problem.
All right. Anything else? Anybody? Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you very much, Mr. Singh. I hope this was helpful.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for being here.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All the
Amazing.
best,
Sachin.
everyone.
Thank you a lot.
Take care.
Jai Shri
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Bye.
Thank you.